Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. Spin my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, June 23rd. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple of clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around and changing still. That is because the market is still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So ticker symbol number one, WHLR. Quite the eventful day today. And now a very interesting situation headed into next week. Yes, there was the big gap up. Then, yeah, there was a pretty rough pullback. And right around there, it does start to become a valid question of, is this some sort of gap and trap pump and dump? And seemingly got the answer, and no, it wasn't, because not only did the price finally level out, but now you can see right now, the price is actually slightly working its way upwards. Now, let me be very clear, and I wish I could say trading was this easy. Just because there is a big pullback and just because the price is slightly curling back upwards does not mean for sure guaranteed the pullback is over and for sure guaranteed this is going to curl back upwards. My point here is it at least valid? Is it at least a rational thought to throw out there? Absolutely. Case in point, let's just say the price was still doing this, and then I'm sitting here saying, hey, it's looking like this could be the bottom. You'd be totally justified to say, what are you talking about? Based on what? The price is literally just dropping straight down. Well, that's not the case here. It has at least leveled out, which brings about why this would be our first key area of support, green for support right there, because that's just the quote unquote leveling out point right around 625. And then if this thing is going to get any sort of more upside pressure, I think the key interesting dynamic from a resistance standpoint is to keep an eye on that trend line right there. But all in all, very interesting consolidation. So is this the leading indicator that the pullback is over and that this thing's about to head upwards? We shall see. Next one here, INLF, and we have ourselves a pretty well-defined, I don't know about pattern, but I would say some key well-defined levels. So the first level and first area that you got to think a lot of people have probably done is drawing a trend line like that, just to illustrate how the price does have these couple lows right here, which is representing the bottom part of this little bit of pullback consolidation. And then on the flip side of things, got to think that several people have kind of noticed that the price has struggled right up around these areas right there. So drawing something like that. And the reason why I'm emphasizing more than just me drawing these lines is because when you have multiple people watching the same areas and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So while there are no guarantees, is it valid? Is it plausible to think that if the price were to come up here and break up through there, that break in of itself, just even if it's simply a self-fulfilling prophecy, meaning, hey, I'm a breakout trader. Oh, look, that's breaking out. Oh, because I'm a breakout trader and that's breaking out, I'm supposed to buy, therefore I buy. That's what I mean by self-fulfilling prophecy. And yeah, those things do exist. And that seems to be one of those areas that could generate some sort of movement like that. So overall, if you like pretty well-defined trend lines, you like this price range around $2, keep an eye on it. Next one, LUCY. And overall, the chart's hanging in there, but it's a tricky chart because there's so much perspective. I mean, if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, and you bought right there, or you bought right there on the dip, and your plan was to buy and sell within 20 minutes, well then from that standpoint, the chart's looking pretty rough because, yeah, there was this bigger pullback. Now, if you care about things from the broader scope of things, even with the bigger pullback, the price is still nicely up above two key moving averages. First one being that pink line there, the 200 period moving average, and then also the purple line there, the 50 period moving average. And even if you have just a basic understanding of charts, I'm sure you've heard of those moving averages and you know that from the broader scope of things, those are the levels that you do want to see the price stay up above, as that does illustrate that at least over broader pictures, the price is building higher lows, and higher lows is what leads to those uptrends. So like I said, from that angle, everything is still fine, but I'm well aware that I could sound very crazy to you right now saying that things are bullish if you're somebody that bought right there as a day trader. So again, I'm trying to differentiate between more so a day trading viewpoint than the bigger picture. So if you have not yet connected those dots, moving forward, these are very, very important areas of support. If the price were to go down to those and then crash down, then at that point, there's really not any higher lows anymore, and you got to really question whether or not the bulls have lost full control. In the event there is a attempted move back in the upwards direction, key area to watch from a resistance standpoint, I'd put right there at that trend line. But right now, I'd say top priority is just making sure that this does ultimately build a higher base, and then you can start to focus more so on breaking areas of resistance. Next one, MITQ, and same general idea of what I talked about on a previous one where there's a great move up and then things start to get pretty nasty on the pullback, and then right around there, it does become very valid to say, gap and trap pumping up. But like the other one, this has done a good job of leveling out. And even now, after leveling out, slightly working its way back upward. So like I said, none of this guarantees it being a bottom, but it does make it rational to suggest that maybe, just maybe, MITQ has bottomed out and is going to try to turn itself back around. So that bottoming out point, or in other words, the key level of support, seems to be right down there around the 78-cent mark. So watch that as a key support next week. And then in terms of the area that I would say is the key breakout point, right up there around 91 cents. I mean, you can see right there, 91, rejected the price, rejected the price, rejected the price. So I'm not saying that the price can never get above 91, just saying that apparently the price really is going to need to bring its A game if it's going to be able to push up through that level. But all in all, nice little consolidation here. We'll see if the price does try to curl back up on Monday. Next one, TSLL. And overall, the chart's doing just fine. Overall, being defined as, if you've watched past videos and you've seen me talk about, these multi-day trend lines. So we have the overall resistance level there. We have the overall support level there. And you can notice that the price is still nicely above the support. It's still down below the red line. So it's still within the pattern. Now, from a day trader scalper standpoint, very brutal, very tricky day, because you can see it actually started off the day breaking through that level, made a huge spike up. And this will mean to more of those of you that watch past videos. But look right where it got rejected. You can't make this stuff up. The power of charts. Got rejected literally right there at the 200 period moving average. So if you were a day trader, hopefully you were able to at least maybe take some sort of scalp in this distance right here. But yeah, if you were looking for more, or if you were trying to buy the breakout right there because you chased, yeah, you're not going to have a very good weekend, as it obviously pulled all the way back down here. But now stepping back into the overall picture of things, like I said, everything is still totally in play. It's still stuck between these two areas of the channel. So it could be a really bad looking chart to you. Like I said, if you're a day trader that bought right there. But if you do care about the grand scheme of things, sure, that movement was annoying, but it's not like it came up there, came all the way down to the bottom part of the pattern and then broke through there. That would be a very, very bad situation. But as of now, the price still remains in between those two key trend lines. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar that I'm offering. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down below in the description area you can use to sign up. Or if you're watching at my website, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can use to sign up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. Next one here, looking at ticker symbol NVDA, and just a disappointing, tricky chart because, and this means more to those that have watched past videos, but if you have, we've been tracking 145. And 145 isn't necessarily tricky in the sense of the price can't break above it, but so many false breakouts recently. Right here, the price acted like it wanted to be strong, fell back below it. Right there, acted like it wanted to be strong, fell back below it. This morning, got up above it, acted like it wanted to be strong, fell back below it. And then you can see actually right there, went right back to acting as resistance just like it did several times before. So 145, tricky. I am going to add in a secondary area of resistance because we did get some data that after the price did break through 145, that second time, you can see right up there, 146, we'll call it 15, both there and there, double top rolled over. So if anything, maybe the best way to just classify this now would be a resistance zone. We have this resistance zone from 145 up to that 146.15. In regards to levels of support, stuff's hanging in there. I mean, it's still nicely above that 200 period moving average pink line right there. Now, if next week the price comes down to that level and, plunges down through it, at that point, the conversation needs to begin to change to, all right, are the bulls starting to kind of lose their touch? But as of right now, more so just an annoyance than anything else to bulls because the price just can't find any separation up through this area here. But like I said, big picture-wise, it's still respecting key areas of support. Again, namely that 200 period moving average. Next one, BBAI, and this will mean a tad bit more to those of you that watch past videos, but if you did, hopefully you remember me putting that trend line in play. And you can see this has been a very annoying trend line right there. Just pretty much drag the price back down. But as I speak right now, check out late afternoon. The price is doing battle with it as I speak. So that now leads into a very exciting question for next week. And that is the price going to be able to break? And then better yet, will that spark more momentum? Now, it doesn't really make any sense to ask that question if nothing interesting is even happening. But this is super interesting. Again, a very stubborn trend line. But now the price is doing battle with it. So yes, can the price break through? And if so, will that spark momentum? No guarantees, but it's certainly valid and plausible to suggest that when a key trend line is broken, it could very well spark momentum. So if you like this price range, if you like kind of these popcorn moments where it's doing battle with a breakout point, and now you're getting to see how will it behave, do you want to try to play continuation, find some momentum? I mean, many different ways you can approach it. But if you like these circumstances, here you go. Keep an eye on it for next week. Next one, AMD, and like some of these other ones, a tricky chart to talk about. It is all about perspective. Day traders, flipper, scalpers that were buying up around there. Yeah, for them, not a good day at all because there was this bigger pullback. But if you take a step back and look at things from the bigger picture point of view, the chart is perfectly fine. In fact, as it pulled back, beautiful, beautiful movement right around that purple line, which you now know is the 50-period moving average. Ideally, you want to see that act as support, and that's exactly what happened here. Came down here, went sideways, and now getting a little bit of green in the upwards direction. Now, that doesn't mean that the purple line is going to hold, but if it does, that would just be a great situation. If it doesn't, then like these other charts we've looked at, a much more important level from the overarching standpoint going to be that pink line there, 200-period moving average. But like I said, right now, just looking like a healthy pullback in the nearer term in regards to levels of resistance. Definitely a pretty interesting trend line right there. The price, as I speak, is knocking on the door. So once more, guarantees, no. But is it plausible? Is it reasonable to think that if the price can break through that level, could that spark some momentum? Absolutely. But all in all, like I said, assuming you care about the bigger picture point of view, AMD is still looking plenty healthy. Next one here, we're looking at PLTR, and I would say some very well-defined levels moving on next week. I don't want to say do or die. That'd be way too dramatic, but in my opinion, this trend line right here going to be very, very important. Going back, this is a multi-day trend line just starting there. You can see how the price and the market has really respected this trend line here, including the last 30 minutes. Didn't hit it exactly, but very close. And in my opinion, that's one of these areas where, again, no guarantees, but if there is a break of that level, especially if it's a higher volume break, I think there's a very good chance that bare minimum of the price at least goes down there and revisits the pink line, which you now know is the 200-period moving average, right down there around the 133.30 mark. Once again, no guarantees, and I would say it would certainly need to be a higher volume break. But yeah, just as far as the chart is concerned, it seems like there would be enough momentum to push it down there if that level doesn't hold. But to be fair, so far so good. That trend line has been very stubborn for the bulls and continues to hold very, very nicely. And then as far as a key level from the resistance side of things, key level to watch, in my mind, right around there. And you can see that it's kind of getting, not kind of, it is. It's getting very coiled up here. So one of those situations where eventually space is going to run out and you're going to have to ask yourself the question, who is ultimately going to win that battle? And, one of those things where do the bulls win with a push to the upside? Do the bears win with a push to the downside? That all remains to be seen. But we're getting this wedge that's running out of room. So definitely grab your popcorn for Monday and Tuesday of next week. Next one here, TSLA Tesla. And like I just talked about on PLTR, I think, again, not a doomsday trend line, not a game over trend line, but I think one of these areas that definitely very, very important. And one of these were, again, no guarantees, as I just said with PLTR, but if the price were to come down here and get a high volume break of this trend line, I think there's a very realistic chance the price could drift down to there, which is that 313 mark, a support that is way more important. So even if the price breaks below there, that doesn't mean the chart's ruined. Even 313, if that doesn't hold, doesn't mean the chart's ruined. But any sort of breaks below 313 would start to suggest that the bulls are losing their edge. But we also don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because, to be fair, as of right now, the price continues to hold nicely above that trend line right there. And then in terms of levels of resistance, just continue to watch that pink line. 200-period moving average, been talking about it on a routine basis, and we had that false breakout of it right there. And then if the price dropped back below, you can see whenever the price got even anywhere close to it, the price would roll back over. But next week, we're going to get some sort of answer because the space between these areas is running out. So the price is going to make up its mind. So once again, grab your popcorn. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more, then definitely get signed up for the class next week. It'll be Thursday, June 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So I hope to see you there. And also, as far as these top 10 videos are concerned, make sure you hit that like button if you enjoy. And I have been live streaming. So if you're interested in seeing me trade live, come hanging out, ask questions, joke around, then make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you are made aware of when I do go live. So if that sounds, like I said, of any interest, subscribe, turn on notifications, and then when you show up in the chat box, let me know, hey, I'm here from the video charts, as it's always fun to make that connection. So thanks for hanging out. Have a fantastic weekend, and make sure you get signed up for that free class.